All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Brock Beard from NASCAR.info coming in after a thrilling battle at the finish between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, two of the top drivers for most seasons, although Kyle is continuing to deal with a winless season. You wouldn't know it from the way that he drove tonight in a good battle to the finish there, but Kevin Harvick still keeping him from winning in his 16th consecutive season. And Harvick unofficially, pending the results of technical inspection, which was an issue just a couple of days ago on Friday, will be the winner of the race earlier tonight. So thank you, everyone, for joining in here. We got a lot to cover here, so we'll go ahead and jump right in with both feet here. First and foremost, we're going to do unofficially, the article for tonight is going to be on Ricky Stenhouse Jr., continuing what has been a very difficult year for the JTG Daugherty team. I believe it's their 7th last place finish between both Stenhouse and his teammate Ryan Preece. Preece himself almost broke the record earlier this year with consecutive last place finishes, starting with the pit road incident over in Indianapolis. But Stenhouse ended up getting turned into the wall after a race for 16th with Jimmy Johnson, putting him into the inside fence, pulled over, and pretty much at that point, once he got out of the car, he was done for the evening. But that's going to unofficially be our article for tonight, which is going to be the first last place finish for car number 47 in the Cup Series history, at least in a points race at Bristol. Unfortunately, Stenhouse had also a pretty savage hit here in the summer race earlier this year in May. But Ryan Blaney was last place in that one. Of course, we'll talk about the cutoff for the round of 12. Now that everything's set there, it seemed like just about everybody on the other side of the cut line just had a miserable run in one way or another there. Ryan Blaney with a car that seemed that every one of his tires were made of margarine and just sliding everywhere. Matt DiBenedetto with unscheduled stops. Cole Custer punched in the nose of number 41, and then Byron did it even worse to the 24 when traffic checked up in front of him and ended up stoving the nose in and dropped out of the race and ended up in the bottom 5 in the final run order there. So not exactly the evening that any of them were certainly hoping for. But, of course, Bristol making a good cutoff race there. I think a good case for being a good cutoff race. People trying to pull something off. Although in this case, it seemed like for most of the night, nobody was going to have anything for Kyle Busch until Kevin Harvick came on the scene there and was able to kind of cruise there at the end. Although when he got a little bit of damage on the nose, again, because of lap traffic, it seems, made them more or less even and put on a great show for the end of the race. So quite honestly, I was very entertained by the way that played out, especially compared to Richmond. I'm sure the Richmond race would have been even more exciting in person. I mean, going to a track at any time is exciting, and of course, seeing that there's fans in the stands there, I'm sure that they would agree. But you know, compared to Richmond, where Keselowski seemed to have the race so well in hand, especially in the second half of it, and you know, you get to see a lot more battles through lap traffic, where navigating through traffic is a little bit more difficult at Bristol compared to Richmond. I think that's probably why we didn't see as much where you had a second place driver that was going to be really close to Keselowski at the end, or Keselowski just had an exceptionally good car that week. But this time around there, you know, really exciting to see what happens there. I'm sure a lot is going to be said about what happened with lap traffic out there and who needs to be out there. Hearing very similar arguments to what's coming up in my Rise of the Field Filler series. The first episode is about 50 to 60% complete right now, so I'm on track to try to get that done. I hope to have a teaser available for my Patreon members there pretty soon, so we'll get that rolling. But you know, really an interesting situation with all that, because it's a story that obviously never goes away. We hear this so much from time to time. You think about Denny Hamlin complaining about Jeffrey Earnhardt and Landon Castle having a wreck at the end of Indianapolis and causing a different finish there in the result. But you know, these lap traffic drivers, I mean, they played as much of a role in making that finish as exciting as it could be versus anything else. And you know, you would hope that most would pull out of the way, but you can have big teams out there, you know, and them playing as much of a factor in the finish as anybody else. I know there was a lot of attention on Joey Gase in particular. He did drop to last briefly at the start of the race, and then ultimately climbed up a couple of spots there after people were dropping out. He certainly wasn't the only one that was running laps down. But in my opinion, in those final stages, I think the real driver that was having a big factor on the finish was Joey Logano. I was surprised Kyle didn't really mention that in his post-race interview. But he seemed to be particularly aggressive, trying to hold him off there at the end there. So it's not just an issue of slow traffic. It could be just as much with the big name guys or the playoff guys as well, and a little bit of the gamesmanship that perhaps this point system has afforded everybody else at the same time. Chris Boucher got 8th, seeing that Motorsports fan 17. Yep, congratulations to him on that. Ryan Preece in the 9th spot. We mentioned the struggles for JTG Daugherty. Great to see Preece get a good finish there. He actually got a decent amount of screen time, which is great. I think that brown Bush's Baked Beans scheme is actually one of the best that's still out there right now. Unfortunately, it was the same scheme that he wrecked with, had that brutal accident in Kansas a while back when he hit the inside barrier. But a much better finish than that today. Didn't get a whole lot of screen time, in the final stages there. But still a good finish there. 9th place finish for him. Ahead of Michael McDowell in the 10th spot. Again, continuing a great run. McDowell had one of his best runs at Martinsville in recent years, just a couple months ago. Gets to do something at Bristol here this time around. Tyler Reddick, I've seen a lot of comments on that. Yes, have to mention Tyler Reddick and getting the 4th place finish. One of his best runs he's had since Homestead when he was battling among the leaders there. It looked like maybe he'd have something figured out. It would have been great to see Austin Dillon up there as well, but obviously things didn't shake out too well with him after the incident with James Davison and then not being able to get the lucky dog as a result. Reddick continuing to be very impressive this year. He may not be Rookie of the Year since the quirk of the point standings has already handed that to Cole Custer, even though he now finds himself on the wrong side of the cut line, but will already be secured a higher ranking in the point standings, something I think NASCAR should reevaluate next year. Because I think Reddick in particular has put together an even more impressive season, even though he hasn't won yet. Seems like he's knocking on the door. But was really pleased to be able to see a lot of traffic on that picture posted earlier of the Childress Vineyards paint scheme for Kirk Shelmerdine. Another thing is going to go kind of hand in hand with the video series I'm working on. Yeah, you don't really see I thought the Childress Vineyards scheme was also on Brian Simo's car at Sears Point in 2005. Because that was a Childress car in that one as well. But I looked up the picture, and it was actually Corbel Wineries on that car. So a different other wine brand, of course, fitting with Sears Point, but not the same sponsorship. So the Shelmerdine thing stood out more in that sense there. Let's see. Yeah, sad for Ryan Blaney. I mean, unfortunately, it seemed like Blaney was going to actually do something in this one. He was actually the pick that I had to win this one because I felt like he was very much obviously in the kind of the Denny Hamlin situation from last year going into Phoenix, where you just got to win just to advance to the next round. Back when Phoenix, of course, was the penultimate round of the championship. But unfortunately, yeah, it just seemed like even on new tires, I was astounded at how loose that car looked. It just seemed like he was having just such an awful time getting that thing around the track, or how long he was off the throttle just to catch that thing. And the fact that he was in the top 5 and top 10 for as long as he was, I think it's just attributed to his driving skills and really the skills of his crew to be able to work out a strategy to overcome that. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to overcome the very serious deficit that he had. Yeah, challenging deal there. Obviously, he finished last. We featured him in the May race, but he spun out and they got tagged by Ty Dillon and took him out of the event. Not too different from the situation he had at Phoenix right before the suspension of the season, where he was collected in an accident at the beginning of that race, but ultimately Timmy Hill had taken last place from him. But then we have a pretty close battle for the NASCAR championship for these remaining, 7 races we have coming up here to round out the season. We now have Timmy Hill and Ryan Preece in a bottom 5 tiebreaker for the lead. And now Stenhouse's last place finish, if it does stand, he would be the only driver with 3 last place finishes and still be within striking distance. And who knows what's going to happen, especially in these next 3 rounds. We have Las Vegas, Talladega, and the Roval. Stenhouse is obviously somebody that can be favored to actually pull off a victory at Talladega, but a lot of unpredictability between those 3 events. Wouldn't overlook Las Vegas in that one as well. Unfortunate there's not going to be any fans there. Like I said earlier, that was basically the last nail in the coffin there for our 2020 coverage. We had that as a backup plan there after the Phoenix deal fell through, although I wasn't really particularly happy about that because you can't get access to the infield, and I wanted to see the Neon Garage and all that, but obviously that's not possible right now. But hopefully things turn around on that and we can look ahead. But we are looking ahead to, again, Fontana next year and the final race on the 2-mile oval before this big redevelopment occurs before the 2022 event there. So that's what we're kind of looking ahead there. Ah, yes, Jeff K. I'm glad you brought that up there. Yeah, Childress Vineyards did sponsor Shane Lee in the Xfinity Series. That's one I completely forgot about. Yeah, in the Xfinity Series there as well, before he drove the Circuit City car. Yeah, he was driving in that one as well. Yeah, it seemed like Blaney was going to pull something off there, but it just didn't quite work. Very impressed with Clint Boyer being able to be one of the only 6 drivers that finished on the lead lap as everybody kind of settled the race amongst themselves. Boyer seemed like somebody that if somebody was going to get bumped out, I figured it was going to be him, not just because he was on the bubble, but again, much like Ryan Blaney has been kind of hot and cold this year. And but you know, kudos to him for getting to the next round, and maybe he can pull something in Vegas or one of these other ones. He's obviously a past Talladega winner from his time with Richard Childress's team, and who the heck knows what's going to happen at the Roval. I mean, given the mixed results we've had and some of these, I'm sure Chase Elliott is licking his chops at that after his performance in the Daytona infield road course. But we'll see what happens there. Kudos to Almirola as well. I admit I'm glancing off screen at the diecast lineup. We still have that set up on the other side of the room here to remind myself where everybody's in the points. Great job for Almirola. I thought that he was really potentially in a position to make something happen there in the Final Four. Not last year, but the year before. It seemed like he was like right on top of it there. Just didn't quite get the cautions to fall his way there. But maybe he can turn something around here and get something going. Certainly in Las Vegas, you think about how good he's run at Kansas and tracks like that in the past. Even when he drove for the Petties, if he can get to the next round there and have a shot at that, that would be something interesting to see at the same time. All right. Yeah, exactly. Having this race, you know, doing the short track at Fontana, I think it's very likely that they're positioning themselves for some kind of a playoff berth or a cutoff race. You know, it's interesting, this strategy on that. I want to correct myself again on something from earlier this week, and I know that there were a couple of people that mentioned this, so I definitely want to make sure it got clear because it got a lot of attention there. I thought that the long-term track contracts were still there. I had completely forgotten about the fact that that's changed now, and now they're year to year. They're based on attendance percentages. So yeah, obviously that's changed. It did strike me as a little strange with the whole thing about the Bristol. This came up during the discussion about Bristol being a dirt track race. You know, in the next year or so there. I'm mixed feelings on that. I think that's kind of reaching, but you know, definitely want to correct myself on that because it's not an issue of there being these long-term track contracts and them being stuck in it. My thinking was they were stuck in these long-term track contracts, and so they know, okay, we got to go to Bristol, you know, each year, but we're getting kind of tired of running the same event. Let's see if we can shake it up and do something like the Roval, where you know, if we can't do it running on the infield, let's try to chase the track surface. And it seemed like that was going to create a slippery slope with that. I'm a little troubled by, you know, the possibility of there not being Eldora in the Truck Series race next year. If that happens, then certainly, you know, running dirt tracks somewhere else should be something that NASCAR should strongly consider. I personally think that, again, the All-Star race should be on a dirt track. It should be very much about the past and a throwback race in and of itself. I'm not against the Cup Series running on dirt at all. I think it'd be fantastic. But I think it should be something that's particularly special. And given how lackluster the All-Star race was at Bristol this year, it wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what they're looking at. I have no basis of knowing this, but if I were in charge of Bristol, that's what I would be thinking. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that would be entertaining. I'd rather they just run at an actual dirt track. You know, if they're going to run it at Eldora or something like that. I think the format lends itself to dirt track racing with heat races and all that. You could have an A main, a B main, and all that. And I think that would be interesting, but that would be a different deal. But yeah, I think that would be my guess. I don't see them making it like a points race, especially starting off because they don't. You know, I mean, are they going to run the cars without the splitters? Seems like they would have to because they seem like they would do something kind of like that with the trucks a little bit when the noses would dig in a little bit. Although of course different technical regulations in the trucks versus the Cup Series. But you know, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, certainly the Bristol race, though, I think today made a very good case for why you still need to have the races at Bristol. Just don't mess with a good thing. I mean, hasn't Bristol been messed with enough already? I mean, I was at the first race in 2007 where they did the gradient banking up there, and even then it was slammed in there, but definitely mixed reactions there where you didn't have people nerfing each other out of the way. And you had a situation where they didn't reapply the PJ1 for the race tonight, and you had people actually bumping each other out of the way, having difficulty with traffic. These are hallmarks of old Bristol races from the spring of 2007 and earlier. And, that's the kind of action that you like to see. And I'd hate to lose that out there. And again, I'm reminded a little bit of the 95 finish. I know there were criticisms again of Joey Gase at the end there, where he was in front of the leaders right before that end. You look at the 95 finish between Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte, the first one where Labonte crashed across the line, that was a big part of that was because of lap traffic. And you had cars that were in the front there, and they couldn't navigate through, and Earnhardt was closing, and that's how he was only able to get that close. I think if anything, the lap traffic should be applauded for getting out of the way as well as they did. Bristol is not one of the easiest tracks to do that. I'd rank it right up there with Darlington as being one of those places where there's just nowhere to hide. Martinsville is another one. Guys just can't get out of the way. And as I've said it many times before, you can't legislate away slow cars. You can have a field of 2 cars out there, and the leader may just be lapping that second guy like 12 times before the race is over with. It just happens. It doesn't matter if they're all Penske cars or all Gibbs cars or anything. So I think you may as well just, adjust your driving ability and anticipate when you're getting out there that you're going to have to navigate yourself through lap traffic. And we saw the drawbacks of that. I mentioned Cole Custer stove it in the nose. Denny Hamlin, of course, doing it. That's part of the challenge. That's one of the things that makes NASCAR great compared to other sports is you can suffer that kind of damage. And in some cases, you can rebound from it. In other cases, you can't. And it's still a toss-up from there. But obviously, at a track like Bristol, where the aerodynamics do play a bit more of a role, we saw this even with Matt DiBenedetto last year. Getting a little bit of a pucker on the fender after the contact with Ryan Newman. It doesn't take a whole lot to eliminate you from the battle in that sense. All right. Seeing a lot of comments there on William Byron. I think, again, it's unfortunate how things shook out with him this year, but I think he really did make a statement, especially last year with all the polls and the overall improved performance across the board. And then this year he won his duel. Unfortunately, finished last in the 500, but then won the July race in Daytona. A great kind of recovery there in the meantime, and then all the while have the consistency enough to make the playoffs. Great performance for him. I think there's a lot of positives they can take from it there. It's unfortunate he's not going to make the next round of the playoffs, but again, you got to walk before you can run in some cases, and I think that's something you can do. Seeing comments on Kurt Busch, great run with him too. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see as much of it tonight. He was one of the many drivers that had all kinds of unscheduled stops and dropping him from contention there, and just strategies that just didn't work out, especially at the end with when the cautions happened when they happened, really. Kurt's going to be one to see there. We go into Vegas next week, where I don't believe he's won before, which would be something if he hasn't won in his home track. Kyle, of course, is going to be hungry next week too, trying to do the same thing and win his first race this year. We'll find out, but it's going to be interesting, kind of shaking that out. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a toss up, what you can say there. Do I think, seeing your comment there, Ben Gondro, do I think Matty D will stay with the Wood brothers? I think it's certainly possible. I think that, they're in a good position with him. The fact that he made the playoffs this year, even though they didn't make it past the first round, that's still worth something. I mean, they've had the consistency there. I think they are just looking for stability. In terms of their placement in the Penske running order, since they're basically a satellite team of them, it's possible they may get outside pressure, much like the 95 team did with the Gibbs partnership, to put somebody in there that's meant to be on the ascendancy. That's the thing that I think Matty D has to worry the most about. In this case, of course, you have to look at somebody like an Austin Cindric, of course, in the Xfinity series. By the way, kudos to him for running that race yesterday without power steering. We saw how much of an issue that was for this guy here, Keselowski, in that one. But Cindric gutting out that finish as best he could, ultimately losing to Briscoe. We'll see what happens with Briscoe, too. I mean, I know there'll be a different pipeline with Stewart Haas and everything, but you never know what's going to happen. Rumors are Matty D to the 48. I'm not sure about that. It's as always, it's a game of musical chairs with not enough chairs and too many people in the room. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to have to either make do in the Xfinity series or just aren't going to find a ride. And again, this is a problem with the charter system. it caps the number of seats. You have drivers that have to bring sponsors in there as best they can, and it's a difficult situation. I think we're going to see some very surprising names on the outside looking in the Cup Series. And unless they change the business model to something closer to the Xfinity Series, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Don't really want to hazard a guess as to who that would be, but I think there's a lot of names in the running. Certainly if certain people are making themselves free agents and trying to find wherever they can land. And then at the same time, of course, the constant problem of trying to figure out which of these chartered teams is even going to come back to begin with. And all that. And then you wonder with, of course, the extenuating circumstances of everything this year, are they going to have practice and qualifying next year? Is NASCAR going to change that? Are we going to get to a point where, I mean, we've seen some teams even in the Xfinity Series that haven't been able to run because they don't do qualifying. Certainly that's been a factor, I would imagine, with these open teams being in the same situation. That would be a different one. But we'll see. Larson and Cup, yeah, I mean, hard to tell, but yeah, that would be interesting. Oh my goodness, yeah, 56 people watching. Yeah, wow, thank you so much. I know we probably have a good number of people that are first timers in here. Welcome aboard to the live stream. We do this live stream every after every Cup race, and my goodness, I guess a lot of people have I appreciate you spending a bit of your Saturday evening with me. And if you have any questions in the comments, by all means, drop it, and we'll talk about all the action this weekend and everything there. Do I do the quiz game? Yes, I do have that here. And we will start that pretty soon here, and we'll do some trivia questions there. So stick around if you're staying around for that. We'll definitely do that tonight and do some trivia tonight to tie everything together. Let's see. I just want to look through the rest of the Cup results here. We'll talk briefly about the Xfinity and truck races as well, and cover the rest of that. I think one thing that's been really interesting, at least in the tail end of the field here, is these persistent fuel pump problems or electrical problems. We've seen so many of these this year. It feels like every week I'm typing something about a fuel pump failure or an electrical failure for either Motorsports Business Management or Tommy Baldwin's team or one of the Rick Ware cars. All those teams have been struggling with it. I assumed it's probably, I mean, I guess they've had either bigger demands on the electronics or anything that have been draining these teams and having issues with that. We saw this with Timmy Hill in Martinsville earlier this year. We saw this with Josh Bilicki tonight and Reed Sorensen as well. He was able to get back out there after some problems. I don't know if we're going to see that more down the line here now that we get to the cooler part of the season. But even tonight, when you saw those people bundled up there during the race, you had people there that were still dropping out with that issue. So be interested to see if anything turns around on that. All right. Doritos and Mountain Dew. Anybody think that Harvick could tie the record for most wins in a single season in the modern era? He's 4 wins away from doing it. I hadn't thought of that. It could be possible. I mean, it's hard to really think of him having a Jeff Gordon 1998 kind of season. But my goodness, he has absolutely turned up the wick here. And right when you seemed like Denny Hamlin was going to be the clear second choice to be the big 2 this year, he has really struggled in this first round of the playoffs there. Had a bit of damage at Darlington, really wasn't a factor there. Richmond, I don't remember him being much of a factor. And then tonight, just couldn't overcome the penalty from the pre-race as well as Kyle Busch and Eric Jones did in the rest of the race. By the way, great run for Jones there as well. So, yeah. Most wins, let's see. Is he already at 10? I thought he was only at 7. I mean, he's either way, whatever it is, he's already up there pretty good. So, very impressive that he can that he can do there. But yeah, great run by Eric Jones. I mean, again, and this is a guy that we talk a lot on the show about how Eric Jones just doesn't get a whole lot of respect out there. He constantly seems to find himself in situations where he's getting ousted from a ride or having to have his back against the wall there. But good to see him have a good performance out there and doing the very best that he can in the 20 car. I recall, I think there were a couple of Bristol races where he was in a situation like a lot of our cutoff drivers tonight, where he would have a late wreck or a late tire failure or a loose wheel or something, and it would take him out of it. I remember there was one he had, like the Stanley car not too long ago, where he had a certain top 5 and lost that. So I'm glad to see the brakes fall his way finally. And maybe in Las Vegas, where he won a pole in the past, obviously doesn't have to worry about qualifying now, but maybe he can get a good run next week and steal away a win the way Joe Nemechek did in 2004, the 0-1 car. That would be something pretty entertaining. Oh yeah, 69 viewers. Nice. Okay. So we'll see what we can do here with the rest of the lineup here. Brad Keselowski, mentioned the power steering issue, 34th there. Rough deal for him. Garrett Smithley started last in the race. I was glad to see BJ McLeod's team back out there. I know it's basically an extra Rick Ware car there that's leased to McLeod. I thought it looked really nice. There's a great picture that Smithley tweeted earlier. I just made that car look nice in the garage area there. Man, I'm just missing going back to the garage area. I'm still hoping that at the beginning of next year it's going to be loosened at least enough that we can get back in the infield and get you guys some coverage from there. But we'll get something worked out on that. Kudos to J.J. Yaley getting a 30th place finish. He had a last-minute driver swap there. Brennan Poole with a little bit of an interesting bit of news. Apparently was out of the 15 car this week. Didn't have a sponsor in the car at Richmond. Wasn't in the car this week. But tweeted that he has some exciting stuff coming up. And apparently he's still affiliated with Remember Everyone Deployed, at least in spirit. We'll see if it's a financial backing. What that means, if he's going to be running the car next week in Las Vegas or if he's going to be with another team. He's going to be committing more to the truck series. Not sure there because Danny Bone's running his old ride in the number 30 of the truck series. So it's a complete toss-up, but I guess that's going to be something that we're going to be watching, especially as we get into doing the entry list storylines article this Thursday on the Last Car site and get things going there. Vin Hankin, thank you for jumping aboard there with everyone else here. Fantastic. We're going to see, also got to make sure to give a particular shout out to Brad Smith. Mentioned this on the Twitter there earlier, on the Twitter, goodness, old in every sense of the term. Fantastic run from Brad Smith's first top 10 finish in Arca. He's been running in that series at least since part-time, since 1988 when he was 19 years old. And now is a driver that is driving for James Hilton's team. Of course, Hilton tragically lost his life along with his son in a traffic accident leaving Talladega a couple of years ago. But Brad Smith has done a tremendous job keeping that number 48 out there and keeping himself out there at the same time. I know it was because there was a small field. And there were starting park drivers in there. But, a top 10 is a top 10. And, there were cup races in the annals of the sport that only had 18 cars out there. And you could get a top 10 there that still meant something. So in a time for him, I'm sure William Saki will cover this more on our Arca correspondent in the article this week. So I'll leave that more to him. Stay tuned for that in this week here. But a great accomplishment for them and a good storyline for a lot of these small teams out there. So kudos to be remiss if I didn't mention Smith as well as the Hilton Motorsports and Brad Smith effort out there. I think that was a fantastic effort for them. I didn't watch it live. I was doing something else at the time there, but certainly excited to hear the news. Definitely check that out. Let's see here. Getting the other results from the weekend. We'll get through the Xfinity and trucks here. We'll get the our trivia segment started here pretty soon. Chase Briscoe, great victory for him there on the Saturday race. It looked like Austin Cindric again was going to gut it out there without the power steering, but Briscoe was able to kind of work his way around him. Heartbreaker for Bailey Curry. Again, the Mike Harmon team is somebody we've talked about certainly on the Last Car site from the beginning of it, but increasingly more on these live streams since then, because it seems like that both the twosome that they have there with Kyle Weatherman and Bailey Curry, they're almost shoe-ins for top 20s now, and sometimes able to outperform even that. We even had Tim Veens and Mike Harmon be in the top 20 in the Daytona night race not too long ago. So the team itself is just improving on all fronts. Unfortunate that the right rear suspension gave way when he was the 15th spot, ended up dropping back to the 30th position. Last place finisher for that one, Stephen Light. We already did the feature on that yesterday, which means now all three of Motorsports Business Management's Xfinity drivers have finished last in 3 consecutive races. Not sure if that's ever happened before. Some of these statistics are getting increasingly difficult to keep track of. But I'm sure more a product of the modern business model and probably not that likely to see it in the past. Certainly not in the Cup Series if you go really far back in the sports history. Even having a 2-car team would be pretty rare. But Stephen Light in the last place run, brutal accident for BJ McLeod there, and then unfortunately collecting one of his own cars. And then Vinnie Miller, the number 99 car, both of them eliminated. Certainly hope BJ is doing okay. Haven't heard too much more. I'm sure he was checked and released yesterday at Bristol, but nothing else beyond that. He wasn't already scheduled to drive the 78 this week. Smithley was already entered before that, so that didn't seem to have a factor in why there was a driver change in the 78. Smithley had driven that car before. Kyle Weatherman, unfortunately, had a suspension issue of his own, ended up in the bottom five. Certainly, the mechanical issues were more of an issue in the Saturday race there beyond that. But Stephen Light, the 66 car, being your last place finisher, and we'll see where things head out from there as they go into their playoffs from there. In terms of great runs, have to talk about Brandon Brown walking himself into the playoffs. Fantastic effort for him. Came down to a good old-fashioned underdog battle between himself and Jeremy Clements. Brown actually finished behind Clements in the 12th spot with Clements in 11th. Loxley, BMS, the Brandon Belt team into the effort. Great run for them. They had a real good breakout effort last year. We talked about them a lot in the old disqualification shows. Him as well as Gray Galding in the 08 car with SS Greenlight were two of the best stories we saw in Xfinity at a time where Ryan Sieg seemed to already kind of escalated to a point where he was a top 10 contender more frequently. It seemed like just on the outside of the top 10, we were seeing Galding and Brown up there more often than not. And now seeing Brown actually make the effort and make the playoffs rather, great effort for him there. I believe he would have seen Galding up there if he still had a full-time ride. The few runs he's had in the Bobby Daughter team this year have been equally impressive, but certainly doesn't take away from the great effort from Brandon. We'll see how far he gets into the playoffs this year and what he can do in trying to get to more top 10s to kind of increase that total for the year. And definitely something that's a feather in the cap for the 68 car, and good to see them get some more exposure. So kudos to them would be a big thing on that. Timmy Hill getting multiple lucky dogs. We talked about him being one of the drivers getting last in the streak there, but getting multiple lucky dogs, starting 34th on the grid. The Xfinity race finishing the 15th spot. Great gutsy effort for him. You mentioned Gray Galding earlier, 18th spot for him in the Bristol race. Chad Fincham in the 20th spot, bouncing back from his DNQ in the first round of the Richmond doubleheader. Great effort for him. Dexter Bean unfortunately had a wreck towards the end of the race, dropped him to 28th there. Things didn't quite shake out for him, but it's still good to see the Mario Gosselin team. They've been more circulating around the 15th spot there, but their three-car effort there still turning heads. Really like the paint scheme, by the way, the Can-Am paint scheme on the number 36. I thought that was really sharp. I'm a big fan of that power extension cord orange, that bright color there. That looks really nice. Certainly a fan. When Halloween comes around, you get to see a lot more of that color around. Yeah, would be great to certainly see. Stephen C. He raised a good point there. Speaking about Mike Harmon, did we ever see the truck and trailer? I haven't heard any new updates on that. Gotta hate that over for the Mike Harmon team there. I mean, just an awful situation for him. And it's really impressive they've been able to do as well as they have with their two cars since then. I mean, that top 10 with Kyle Weatherman was before that theft happened. And unfortunately, I mean, maybe that's why we're seeing these mechanical issues they've had lately. Although they still pulled through and done the best they can there. Certainly hope things pull out there. I know that they had a lot of people investing in the bounty, or not the bounty, the reward to find that truck and trailer. That brings me to another point. Another big shout out I got to give here to Rick Houston at the Scene Vault. For those who don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do know that are following on here a long time. Rick Houston is along with Steve Wade, doing the Scene Vault podcast. Both of them have been committed not only to preserving the memory of stock car racing and doing interviews with a lot of the veterans. We just did Brett Bodine this past week, but also committed to preserving NASCAR scene itself. All the issues from the late 70s through, I believe it's 2009, all of the issues and all this reporting that just doesn't have a digital database, and that they've been working on producing the Scene Vault for all these years, and recently got the attention of Marcus Lemonis over at Camping World, and Rick Houston pledged that if he achieved 5,000 miles, lifetime miles in running, in his efforts to get in shape there, that he would uphold that and actually fund the effort to get the Scene Vault on there. I'm taking a long route here, but it's been a long journey for Rick Houston, but he accomplished it this past week. Can't be happier for Rick. I know from personal experience how difficult that is to get back in shape, and all that. I pounded pavement a lot in college there to try to, when I was walk-on back in crew and everything, and I can only imagine how much more difficult that is, when you're even an older gentleman there as himself. But a tremendous effort, really inspiring there, and I certainly am excited that there is the potential that everybody's going to have access to this digital archive and be able to see that. So kudos to Rick and to Steve and to Marcus Lemonis for that effort there. Couldn't be happier with that, and I certainly hope that, especially for those of you who perhaps came into the sport a bit more recently and never got the to have the enjoyment of the NASCAR scene arrive in your mailbox there, you'll be in for a treat. You will get an entirely different view of the sport that you wouldn't have even anticipated. A perfect example, I can tell you, from just one issue of NASCAR Scene I consulted for the J.D. McDuffie book that I wrote, was on the one that covered the 1991 Watkins Glen race. So much information in there that I didn't find anywhere else, including the issue about the radial tires versus the bias ply tires. Wouldn't have even been in the book if not for the scene, as well as coverage of practice and qualifying from that as well. It was very hard to piece that together, and probably wouldn't have been had it not been for that. So an absolutely invaluable source. And if you just get that much for one issue, just imagine if you had all those at your fingertips. I believe I'm probably going to have to take take a little vacation just to browse through that when that finally gets up there. So great effort for them as well there. So definitely want to make sure to mention them here along the way. We'll touch base on the Truck Series race here as well. We'll get into the trivia here right after this. Great first victory for Sam Mayer, not only winning that race, his first ever Truck Series win, but also pulling off the Arca victory at the same time. The Arca Series having a bit of a chase there to get to Winchester for the other round, but a great effort for him. Trevor Bayne, unfortunately, was going to be one of the big stories. It was fortunately we were going to get a big story there, but him getting fifth in the race, it was going to be a real feather in the cap for the team. Excuse me, their first top five of the year for the Nice number 45 team. They've really been trying to regroup this year. Great run for Bayne, who is visibly excited to having a great performance at his home track. Unfortunately, the truck failed post-race heights, ended up disqualified, taking last from Josh Realm. So an unfortunate deal there for Bayne. Bayne ended up being our feature, not certainly in the way that we intended originally, which required some rewrites there when late Friday came around. But Bayne, your last place finisher in the number 45, same number 45 team that flipped upside down at the beginning of the year with Ty Majeski. And unfortunately, we now apparently don't have Majeski in that truck. Hopefully, things work out better for him and he can find another deal moving forward. Realm, Norm Benning, Austin Wayne Self, and Stuart Friesen rounding out the bottom five in the Truck Series article, or in the Truck Series in general. Parker Kligerman with the fourth place finish. Great run for him, although he's never finished outside the top 20 in all of his Truck Series starts at Bristol and continues to have great runs there. Tanner Gray, you wrote a last article about him. I think it's Charlotte. Third place finish for him. Fantastic. Brett Moffitt, without any sponsorship, seemed like he was going to have the victory in hand before his teammate caught him. But a good run for him to start the playoffs there. A lot of positives to talk about between a lot of these races here, even in spite of a few negatives here at the same time there. But the articles for Trevor Bayne's disqualification, as well as the Xfinity last place finish for Stephen Light, are already on the website. We'll have the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. article available for you later tonight, pending the results of technical inspection, and we'll find out what happens from that. So welcome aboard, everyone. Here, I know we got a good group on hand, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into our trivia segment here. Appreciate you guys waiting here on that. And again, we'll if you have any other questions here, we'll go ahead and answer those along the way. And have any other thoughts here at the same time, just kind of browsing through this here at the same time. Yeah, Chase Briscoe is legit. Yep, exactly. I mean, fantastic year he's had on the track for sure. That emotional victory at Darlington was just the tip of the iceberg. So a great effort for him as well. Again, for those of you just joining, if you came in here, the series that I'm still working on here, the Rise of the Field Fillers. The first episode is about 50 to 60% complete. Script's already written, recorded, music selected, and everything like that. So we're getting that done. Hope to have a teaser pretty soon on the Patreon. Also going to have some more updates on the Patreon itself, as I had originally up to about $20 level. I didn't have anybody in the $20 level, so I've just brought it down to just the 1s, 5s, and 10s. I'm also going to have a tier system for what you get advanced access to, whether it's the NASCAR Man videos, the ones on my channel, or actual exclusive videos There's actually a commentary track I'm working on for the $10 level, which will be the highest one. There's going to be some videos in there that you can't watch anywhere else, and I'm going to kind of throw that in there so everybody gets more for their content for their money on there. I know this year has certainly been a challenge for people to find any entertainment or anything, but I certainly want to make sure everybody in the Patreon gets the very most they get for their support there. Even when we're not able to go to the track or anything like that, we're coming up with new ways to actually fill the gaps there. So if you have any suggestions on that, I'm always open to those as well. We're going to have an updated version of the Patreon video to kind of break that down, so I won't bore you with the details there. But if you want to check that out, patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock is the Patreon, and you can get some more information on that as well. Okay, so for those of you that are new here, this is, again, our Trivial Pursuit NASCAR trivia thing from the late 90s. This is 1998 this thing was made. We have about 6 categories. We don't do points or anything like that, just simple question answer. I read the questions off and go ahead and type it in the comments there, and we'll go from there. And again, of course, if you have any questions from this weekend's action or anything else, certainly happy to field any questions there. First things first, we get to pick a category. The categories are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. So don't hesitate. Go ahead and pick whichever category you like. I'll give some time here for you guys to pick some other stuff here. So the categories are, again, NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Those are your 6 categories. Wow, I've seen a lot of wild card ones already. We'll probably go ahead and jump into that. Let's see. NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Okay, I see a few for wild card. We'll go ahead and jump into that. We can perhaps change the category if we run a bit long tonight, and we'll see where we can go there, and we will go from there. Okay, first wild card question of the night for our Bristol Night Race show. What driver won the most NASCAR Winston Cup championships in the 60s? Don't look it up. That's the other rule we have here. Try not to look it up if you can. Just try to go ahead and guess. No such thing as a bad guess. There's nothing at stake here except bragging rights. So what driver won the most NASCAR Winston Cup championships in the 60s? All righty. Sam Mayer wasn't alive for the 2003 Sonoma race. Well, see, that puts it in perspective now. Definitely feel even older, I'll tell you that. Good evening, Nathaniel. Welcome aboard. Seeing a lot of people in here, so that's cool. Definitely do some trivia here for the show. Alrighty, what driver won the most NASCAR Winston Cup championships in the 60s? And the answer is David Pearson. David Pearson, Andrew Hayes, you were the first one to get that one right. Ultimate 23 Dragon, Maserati 9. Ryan Markham. Seeing a lot of new names here. NASCAR 93 100, B-Boy 89, Rhino Presents. All right, Mark Silas 4619. There you go. Indeed, David Pearson's the correct answer. Sometimes we get some really challenging ones. We had, I think last week in our Richmond show, we had one about track nicknames, and that was particularly challenging. So that would be another one there. All righty, next question under the wild card category. Who became NASCAR Winston Cup champ in a year he drove with a broken left hand? Sorry, I mishandled that one. Who became NASCAR Winston Cup champ in a year he drove with a broken left hand? That is our next question. Who became NASCAR Winston Cup champ in a year he drove with a broken left hand? That is our next question. All right, I guess it's for Terry Labonte and Bobby Allison and Earnhardt and Petty. And Labonte, got several for Terry Labonte popping up. We got one. We got another one for Bobby Allison. Okay. We'll see here. Who became a NASCAR Winston Cup champ in a year he drove with a broken left hand? All right. And the answer is Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte is indeed the answer. Great runs there. Justin, you looks like you were the first one on that. Jack Garland, Andrew Hayes, he went for the year. There you go. Maserati 9. Mark Silas 4619, Andrew Hayes, NASCAR fan 93 100, Stephen C, Nathaniel Ivey, Bean Boy 89, Artie, you were close. Yeah. Terry Labonte is the correct answer. Okay. All right. Hang on. There we go. Okay. What country music legend drove in over 40 NASCAR Winston Cup races? What country music legend drove in over 40 NASCAR Winston Cup races? I believe it was that he broke the hand in 96. Because in 98 he had the 600 straight starts. I remember I had to correct myself in the video on the late 90s NASCAR one. So there would be that. Oh, you guys got it. You guys got it. The whole field's got it. Marty Robbins, indeed, the correct answer. Marty Robbins. The field gets it. RD Fox 76, number 23. Dragon Justin Maserati 9. Man, I'm going to run out of breath here. Motorsports Fan 17, NASCAR Fan 93 100. Stephen C. Mark Silas, Ryan Markham, Stephen Nathaniel, Bean Boy. There you go. Marty got disqualified for taking off the plate. That's correct. Okay. Okay. Next question. Who was tied with Bobby Allison in career wins before the 1998 season? Who was tied with Bobby Allison in career wins before the 1998 season? That's our next question. Looks like you guys are figuring it out already. Okay. And look at all those Darrell Waltrip spill the thing. Kurt Cobain? I don't think so. Not quite. There we go. And the answer is indeed Darrell Waltrip. Correct. Darrell Waltrip. Okay, you guys are really good here. We got a lot of ringers in here. Let's see if we can get some more challenging ones for you. Okay. Maybe we have one here. Next wild card question. What was the fastest production car being made in America in 1950? 1950. What was the fastest production car being made in America in 1950? The fastest production car made in America, 1950. 1950. We'll get some more guesses on there. We got guesses for the Hudson, the Plymouth, Ford, Chrysler, Olds 88. The fastest production car being made in America in 1950. 1950. Alrighty. Just double checking, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay. Alrighty. And Bel Air, Olds Rocket 88. Okay. Oh, excuse me. And the answer is the Oldsmobile Rocket 88. Wow, you got a couple of you guessed that. There you go. Good on you. The Olds Rocket 88. Guess that's appropriate. I was like, gives me Maserati 9. Looks like you were first on the button there. RD Fox 76. There you go. Yeah. The Oldsmobile Rocket 88. I mean, we don't even have Oldsmobile anymore. It's too bad. But there you go. So good on you guys. Make sure I didn't miss anything else there. So yeah, that's a challenge. That's a good name. I'll tell you what. Alrighty. Here we go. Next question. What did Clay Earls hire Bill France Sr. to do at Martinsville in 1950? What did Clay Earls hire Bill France Sr. to do at Martinsville in 1950? 1950. What did Clay Earls hire Bill France Sr. to do at Martinsville in 1950? Make it hot dog, pave the track, promote, pave it, flagman, put on a race. Yeah, any of these. See, build the wall. It could be anything. It could be anything. It literally could be. What did Clay Earls hire Bill France Sr. to do in Martinsville? And I like to make a hot dog as an answer. The Blake theme, and I might just, if we had points, I would give you one for that because that's a perfect answer. Bill, I need you to come over here. I need you to come over here. I need you to make a hot dog. I need to do the Martinsville hot dog thing one of these days. I mean, I'm usually picky about what I put on a hot dog, but I'm pretty sure I just order it just the way they have it because they always just make it look so good in these broadcasts. I'll tell you what. Build a clock. Yeah, there we go. Could even be something like that. Okay, what did Clay Earls hire Bill France to do in Martinsville in 1950? The answer is park cars. How about that? Park cars. I thought the ones that guessed pave were going to be right. He was hired to park cars. Now that is funny. Now just imagine. It's like, yeah, Bill, I like that you got your National Association of whatever out here to my track, but can you park these cars over here? Can you tell these fans where to park their cars? Yeah, park. I don't know if you can see that well on the screen. There you go. Park cars is the correct answer. Yeah, it must be parking the cars. I assume it's the parked cars, the ones that were coming to the track. I don't think he was hired literally to tell Mike Seneca, for example, that he wasn't staying up to full speed or whoever the equivalent would be back then. But yeah, I think it was literally that. That's an interesting. There's a full story behind that. There must be, but we're only getting a glimpse at that. Maybe there's another guess there. Alrighty. Okay, here we go. Next question. Yeah, stop the trains. Wow. See, there's a lot of guesses. That's the second point I've given you. There you go. Well, hey, you're ahead by 2, I guess. Did they even have minimum speed back then? I don't know. That would be interesting. So yeah, I guess it wouldn't. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be hired to park the cars unless park the cars that are racing. I'm sure it meant literally. I mean, again, we don't have a photo friend on this or anything, so I guess we can't just have that. Okay. Who was a mechanical engineering student in Florida when a racing career beckoned? Interesting phrasing of that. Who was a mechanical engineering student in Florida when a racing career beckoned? This is our next question. I think we might have had this one before. I'm sure we're going to cycle through this at some point. Who was a mechanical engineering student in Florida when a racing career beckoned? All righty. Make a hot dog. That's good. Okay, we got guesses for Gant, Roush, Petty, Eunuch, Turner. Yeah, tough call. Yeah, it sounds like it's something that we're talking about way back, because we had a lot of these questions that are like from the 50s. Maybe they're chronological questions. But it could be something more recent. You never know. Maybe it's something a little later in the sports history. Who was a mechanical engineering student in Florida when a racing career beckoned? Alrighty, big McLarge huge. Okay, we got a Mystery Science Theater fan in here. Excellent. A Space Mutiny is great. I'm more of a Mitchell or oh gosh, what's the one with the Ace of Prince of Space or Ace of Space? I always get that mixed up. The one with the guy that can't stop laughing with big beak nose. Oh gosh, that one's fun. Who was a mechanical engineering student in Florida when a racing career beckoned? And the answer is Fireball Roberts. Fireball Roberts is the correct one. I don't think anybody got that. I don't think so. Wait, hang on. Let me make sure. Yeah, it seemed like a unit question, didn't it? But it actually says Fireball Roberts. Wouldn't have guessed that one either. The Phantom of Crankor. There you go. Okay. Holding in such a laugh. That's a good one. All righty. Here we go. All right, another old school question. Who kissed former Miss America Mary Ann Mobley at Daytona's Victory Lane in 1962? Who kissed former Miss America Mary Ann Mobley at Daytona's Victory Lane in 1962? Excuse me. Having a second allergy season over here. Who kissed former Miss America Mary Ann Mobley at Daytona's Victory Lane in 1962? MSTs for life, man. Yep, absolutely. I'll tell you, before I started listening to a lot of podcasts on my commute, especially when I was driving to work, I would always play like old Mystery Science Theater episodes just in the background in the car, because it makes entertaining radio. Even if you don't have the visual component, I always enjoy doing that. So there were some of them that I could probably do line for line. Mitchell is a big one, because I love the 3M production music that comes up. The future belongs to 3M. And it's like the music, I swear, just fits perfectly. It's too many good moments. Might have to do something with that at some point. Alrighty, who kissed former Miss America Mary Ann Mobley at Daytona's Victory Lane in 1962? Okay, we got guesses for Fireball Roberts again. We got Petty. Fred Lorenzen, Richard Petty, Yarborough. Alrighty, the answer is Fireball Roberts. Another Fireball question. It is Fireball again. Yeah, good background work noise, exactly. Yep. Of course, I will admit this. And some of you, and Hippie Two Sheds, you might not be happy about this because but I will admit it. I'm the kind of person that usually skips through the sketches during the Mystery Science Theater episode. I know there's some good ones. There's some really good ones. And, I mean, Patrick Swayze Christmas and all their stuff, like, okay, yeah, that's fun. But I just watch it for the movie. I love the riff tracks ones they do now where they can do sketches and stuff beforehand and then they actually do the thing. But I admit, even in the old ones, I tend to just skip through those. I know why they do it. It's fun and everything. I don't have a problem with it. But I think the movie is usually my I usually just prefer just for those. Alrighty. Here we go. Another question. This is pretty open-ended here. Who won 48 NASCAR Winston Cup races in his brief 6-year career as a driver? Now chew this one over. Who won 48 NASCAR Winston Cup races in his brief 6-year career as a driver? Alrighty. Who won 48 NASCAR Winston Cup races in his brief 6-year career as a driver? Who's leading, Jason? We don't really have anybody keeping score or anything. Maybe in the long term we'll have like a scorekeeper or something. I mean, I'm sure I'd rather not juggle that at the same time here, but right now we just do question answers and just for the fun of it there. But maybe further down the line we'll look into something like that. Who won 48 NASCAR Winston Cup races in his brief 6-year career as a driver? We got several guesses here. We got Lee Petty, Herb Thomas, Ned Jarrett, Davey Allison. Ned Jarrett, Herb Thomas. Let's see. Alrighty. And the answer is Herb Thomas. Herb Thomas is correct. There we go. Okay. Now this is uncanny because I was literally watching this yesterday, and this makes me wonder sometimes that this thing has a Ouija board kind of effect here. So without further, get this one: who drove a 1998 Ford that boasted a paint scheme celebrating Xena Warrior Princess? I swear, I was watching the one yesterday where somebody was like, she was like catatonic, like somebody went into her dreams and she had to fight herself. Like, you talk about riff tracks level quality there. I mean, if it's not gonna be Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you get to Xena Warrior Princess, you get some fun stuff here. I don't know this one at all. Who drove a 1998 Ford that boasted a paint scheme celebrating Xena Warrior Princess? Look at that. It's actually in here. We got a Xena Warrior Princess question. You gotta have a hairline like mine to start remembering stuff like this. And this could be any series. It could be the truck series for all I know. Boy, I don't know. Who drove a 1998 Ford that boasted a paint scheme celebrating Xena Warrior Princess? Yeah, literally. This is a level 10 triple diamond kind of question we got here. Who drove a 1998 Ford that boasted a paint scheme celebrating Xena Warrior Princess? The more I read it, the less clear I could picture something like that. It seems, I mean, let me guess. I mean, it seems like, I know that you had, I mean, I've seen comments on Jerry Nadeau. It's a possibility because he ran ones that had like Turner Broadcasting a lot of times, though, especially with the 9 car. And Xena was Fox. So, and trying to think of like a cross promotional thing there. Now, Fox, of course, wasn't even the main, they didn't even broadcast NASCAR for another 3 years. But it seems like this would almost be like a small team thing. But I don't think that they would put that in here because nobody would probably guess it. I'm seeing some for Robert Presley, Billy Standridge, Buckshot Jones, Patty. I'm seeing a few for Patty Moise. That would be something. That seems like that would make sense. I mean, if it is, I mean, I can't picture a Cup car that was like this. It must be Busch, which would probably lead to be maybe Patty. Dick Trickle. That would be something. Wouldn't that be perfect? Who knows? Or it'd just be weird. I don't know. Okay, who drove a 1998 Ford that boasted paint scheme celebrating, specifically says celebrating, Xena Warrior Princess. And the answer is Patty Moise. Wow, how about that? Why do you guys got that one? I was completely stumped. Completely stumped. Patty Moise. So what was it? We got a few of these here. Just you, Nathaniel? Nathaniel Ivy? I see you got it. Or Stephen Robert, you too. Stephen Robert, you just got in under the cut before Nathaniel. I gotta look this up. Where is it? Okay, hang on. Now, wouldn't you know it, my X key isn't working on this keyboard, so I gotta bring out the backup keyboard. Because that's not gonna work. I'm just not gonna guess it otherwise. Patty Louise, Xena, NASCAR. And it's coming up. Okay. 1998. This I gotta see. This I gotta see. Oh, okay. It's a little more underwhelming than I thought it would be. I mean, it's basically this pink car, but it's got lightning bolts on it. Does it have Xena on the hood? Oh, I guess it has her. It's a little hard to see in this shot. Hang on. Let me check this one. I guess if you show the passenger side, you can't really see it, but it's the driver's side here. There's a lot of shots of this. I do not remember this one. There we go. So here we go. Let me get this shot here. I'll share this one so you can see that. Try to get a link that actually works. There you go. This is like the die-cast version of it here. Yeah, I really don't remember that car. That's weird. Yeah, I haven't heard Buckshot Jones in a while. Yeah, Buckshot would be another one. Yeah. I mean, it's still relatively obscure. I mean, Patty Louise doesn't get talked about as much as like a Shauna Robinson or a Janet Guthrie or somebody like that more. But yeah, that's a weird one. If you do the actual, I should just post the actual Google search page because then you can actually see some alternate angles. There you go. We'll share that one there so you can kind of get views of it. It's tricky because it's on the other side of the hood from that one. But yeah, it's got too many characters. Yeah, interesting. There you go. Yeah, that's a weird one. Okay. Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, special paint schemes had a different complexion back then versus now. I think now they would change more of the paint scheme, but then again, maybe not. They might have. Okay, there's somebody that actually did like a render of it. That's pretty good. There we go. Here we go. This will be good. This will be a much clearer shot here. I mean, it won't be one of these. Let's get that one. Oh, check that one out. Oh, favorite Riff Tracks movie? Oh my gosh. Tough call. I think there was one we went to that was just so much fun. I'm trying to remember which one that was. Was it Birdemic was really good. I mean, but I know every internet critic has done that one. But there's other ones that are right up there. Gosh, I don't know. It's really tough to pick one. But yeah, certainly one to check it out. Oh, I didn't see them live. That would have been amazing. No, just the one that I just watched like the one where they screened it in the theaters there. No, I didn't go to Nashville for one of those. That would be really cool. Yeah. No, hey, it's okay. Yeah, there we go. Actually, it's got some shots of the real one. That's a good page there, so you can see that. Good job. What is this? Scott Mitten that did the scheme. Good job there, Scott. Good job. You got one that I honestly don't remember. I hardly watched any Busch series back in the 90s, which I'm sure a lot of people, really wouldn't believe. But yeah, I was pretty much, it was just much easier to schedule everything around just the Cup races. It was hard even to watch a lot of qualifying back then. So that was more my deal. But that would be another one. Yeah, I miss a lot of the contingency sponsors too. I know, people say it looks cleaner and everything, but I think it looks messier with the larger logos they're putting in their place. I think like Tyler Reddick's had that big Allsco logo there. It just didn't look right. But yeah, it's a different deal there for that. All right, here we go. How many drivers had more NASCAR Winston Cup wins than Bobby Allison through 1997? How many drivers had more NASCAR Winston Cup wins than Bobby Allison through 1997? So I guess, okay, not which drivers, how many drivers? Okay, yeah, so we're looking for a number. We're looking for a number here. How many drivers had more NASCAR Winston Cup wins than Bobby Allison through 1997? All righty. Got 5, too. Wow, we got, okay, we're looking at single-digit numbers. I think that's definitely closer to the reality. How many drivers had more NASCAR Winston Cup wins than Bobby Allison through 1997? Through 97. Don't look it up. Just go ahead and guess. And the answer is 2. 2 is the correct answer. 2 is the correct answer. Ultimate 23 Dragon, Maserati 9, Jack Garland, Mark Silas 4619, Ryan Markham. There we go. Pearson Petty. Yep, that looks like that was the one. 2 is indeed the correct answer. All righty, here we go. Whose willingness to race anywhere earned him the moniker High Plains Drifter? Whose willingness to race anywhere earned him the moniker of High Plains Drifter? Another nickname question. And looks like you guys are getting it already. There you go. Whose willingness to race anywhere? I didn't realize that was why he was nicknamed this. It seemed like it was. I thought it was just his hometown or something. Whose willingness to race anywhere earned him the moniker High Plains Drifter. We're going to go with moniker instead of nickname. And indeed, the answer is Rick Corelli. Rick Corelli is indeed the name. Rick Corelli. So you got between the Winston West competitor, Southwest Tour, and ultimately the Truck Series. Did some crossover with the Cup Series. It was a movie. Well, yeah, there you go. There you go. Rick Corelli is indeed the correct answer. Yeah, apparently the nickname's at least prolific enough to be in here. Isn't he a spotter now? He's a spotter for somebody. He's he spot for oh gosh, I can't remember like which spotters are matched with somebody, but there's a lot of interesting former drivers that are up there because you got Jason Edleski, you got Rick Corelli, you got Andy Houston, Tim Fedowa, those just right off the top of my head. I'm sure there's many more than that, but those definitely come up. Eric Jones, there you go. He's mentioned every truck race, yeah. Okay, well there you go. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of truck races back then either. Here we go. What driver had 17 career wins on the Craftsman Series through 1997? Another Truck Series question. What driver had 17 career wins on the Craftsman Series, the Craftsman Truck Series, through 1997, through the 97 season? What driver had 17 career wins on the Craftsman Truck Series through 1997? We have guesses for Skinner and Hornaday and Sprague and Ruttman. I can just picture, when I'm reading these names, I could picture Marty Reed reading these off because it just sounds like here's Ruttman and here's what are some other fun Truck Series names? There's so many of them. You want to talk about Rich Bickle? You want to talk about Brian Reffner? You want to talk about Boris Said? I mean, as infrequently as I watched it, it's always ones that stand out. Willie T. Ribbs, there you go. Or was it Willie T. Ribbs that ran the Truck Series, or was it Bill Lester? Or was it both of them? Did Willie T. run some trucks? I don't even remember that. Toby Butler, there you go. There's a fun one. Randy Renfro, there you go. I've always remembered that one. There's the other guy that drove the 31 truck. I think that was, he had some other ones. Yeah. Yeah, there was other ones. Yeah, it's just so many of those names. Lester did, not sure about Billy T. So yeah, I'm not sure about that either. I don't think so. I think from the way his documentary went, it looked like that he was, not too keen on doing anything else NASCAR after his experience in the 80s. What driver had 17 wins in the Craftsman Truck Series through 1997? And the answer is Ron Hornaday. Ron Hornaday. Hornaday is indeed the correct answer. Seemed like it was a Skinner question, didn't it? But there you go. Kevin Hamlin. Yep, there you go. You mentioned that one too. There's the other one. Yes, Hornaday is indeed the correct answer. So Ultimate 23 Dragon, you got it right off the bat. Bean Boy 89, Nathaniel Ivey. Mark Silas 4619. Mark, you're getting a lot of these here I've seen tonight. Maserati 9. Ben Hadkin. There you go, yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. What family business did Bill Elliott's father have in Cumming, Georgia? Cumming, the name of the city here. Not the name of the business. What family business did Bill Elliott's father have in Cumming, Georgia? Is the name of it. What family business did Bill Elliott's father have in the city of Cumming, Georgia? Okay, I guess it's for Ford dealership, pool room, a car dealership. It also go pool room, the pool club. We have anything else here? Chad Chaffin. There we go. That's an interesting name. You talk about Truck Series names still. We're getting intermingling of all this here. Part store. Red-headed Dapper Dan hair products. There you go. Excavation, feed supply. What family business did Bill Elliott's father have in the town of Cumming, Georgia? I'll get the answer here in just a moment. Grain elevator. There we go. You never know. It could be anything. I mean, in Georgia, I've never been, so I don't know. And the answer is a junkyard. A junkyard. Maserati 9 parts store. You're pretty close to it there. His dad's name was George, not Dan. I'm reading even Hippie Two Sheds comment there. A junkyard is the correct answer. Yeah, I don't think anybody had that one. There we go. That's a stumper. I mean, for all they mentioned the Dawsonville pool room, you would think that would be, but no, that would be not, at least in the family. At least the father. All right. Oh, I think we had this. I think we had this one before, but we'll run this one again, especially since we have some new people in here. What was the name of the 1997 TV pilot about racing that starred Lee Majors? That's a very old-sounding question. What was the name of the 1997 TV pilot about racing that starred Lee Majors? There you go. Yeah, 97. Seems like that's well after Lee Majors' period, but if he's doing TV, then I guess that makes sense. What was the name of the 1997 TV pilot about racing that starred Lee Majors? That is our question. We'll do a few more of these here, and we'll probably wrap it up. I know it's midnight on the East Coast here, so we're not going to make this go too awful long. Do appreciate you guys sticking around here, and we'll have a little fun with these questions here as we wrap up for tonight. NASCAR Racers was 2000. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. What was the name of the 1997 TV pilot about racing that starred Lee Majors? And the answer is Steel Chariots. I think NASCAR Man did a thing on this. Was your NASCAR Man or Keep It 35? One of them did this, but I remember watching something about that. Steel Chariots is the correct answer. Difficult one there. Alrighty. Here we go. Okay, here's the next one. What was Red Byron's real first name? What was Red Byron's real first name? Don't look it up. What was Red Byron's real first name is our next question. Blue. I like that. Okay, Hippie Two Sheds, you get the point there too. William. Yeah, well, it seems like that would be something, wouldn't it? William. What was Red Byron's real first name? Yeah, Steel Chariots. Yeah, it sounds like something like, I don't know, something for a different, I don't know, different time period or something. I'm thinking like Killer Angels or Hell's Angels or something like that. On the board, there you go. What was Red Byron's real first name? And the answer is Robert. Robert is the answer. It would have been amazing if it was also William. That would have been just fun. Robert is the correct answer. So Nathaniel Ivey, you got it there. All righty. Do a couple more questions here. Who did Jeff Gordon place a call to from Daytona's victory lane in 1997? Who did Jeff Gordon place a call to from Daytona's victory lane in 1997? Rick Hendrick, his mother. Rick Hendrick. And yeah, we're going to call it here because you guys got it. The answer is indeed Rick Hendrick. You guys got it. Rick Hendrick. All right. What NASCAR Winston Cup race director also works full-time as a UPS driver? Here's a tricky one. What NASCAR Winston Cup race director, not driver, race director, also works full-time as a UPS driver? What NASCAR Winston Cup race director also works full-time as a UPS driver? Now, again, keep in mind, this is the late 90s. Different cast of characters. Could be any number of different people. You never know. Slap shoes. Yeah, there you go. Jarrett Hoots. Darby. Yeah, that is right. There you go. What NASCAR Winston Cup race director also works full-time as a UPS driver? All righty. And the answer is David Hoots, RD Fox 76. Looks like you just had it as a guess, but you got it correct. David Hoots is indeed the correct answer. There you go. More power to you. David Hoots. All righty. No, that's too easy. Yeah, it's also too easy. Okay, here we go. All right, so we got one more question for tonight. We're going to do one more here to wrap this one up. Last question for the evening. What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? Batman. Okay, well, there you go. One for tonight. What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? For those of you the long-term ones, did we see this one before? Maybe we have. I don't remember. Ricky Rudd, Speed Racers. Yeah, this is tricky. Okay, good. It is a tricky one. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so either. What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? Chocolate Myers, Ricky Rudd. All right, go ahead and get those guesses in here. Last question of the evening. Gant, Racer X was so cool. Agreed. Robin Williams, RIP. What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? You wouldn't have ever fit through the window. There you go. All righty. And the answer to the last question for tonight. What driver is married to an accomplished race car driver named Robin? The answer is indeed Wally Dallenbach. Wally Dallenbach. I think a lot of you got that one. Ultimate 23 Dragon, you got it right off the bat. Maserati 9. NASCAR Fan 93 100. There you go. Well, excellent. The Speed Racer answer. Yeah, exactly. You never know. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. That will conclude our live stream for tonight. I'll let you guys make sure you get some rest on the East Coast there. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Tune in next week as we wrap up the action from Las Vegas and the first round of the round of 12 for the Cup Series. We'll do some trivia that night as well. Hope to have a lot of you back. I know we had a lot of new faces here tonight, and I hope that this was something enjoyable enough for you. I know I certainly enjoyed doing it. If you want to see more of my content, check out my Twitter at LastCarOnBrock. The website is lastcar.info. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, patreon.com/lastcaronbrock. Rise of the Field Fillers is on its way on this YouTube channel right here that you're watching this video on. I'll have some more updates on that, both in the Patreon and on this channel. and we'll have some more news from there. So again, have a wonderful evening, everyone. Safe weekend, and we'll see you next week.